How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we're checking out the 10,000 mAh battery strap from Beswin. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So yeah, 10,000 mAh, is this true? Maybe not. Maybe it is. What am I talking about? Well, it says 10,000 mAh and give you playtime of 6 to 8 hours. Now, what kind of playtime? Well, playtime could just mean the combined battery life of both the strap and the headset. Now, before we go ahead and slap it on the headset, let me go ahead and show you how they actually fit it in the box. First off, the side rails actually collapse like so. And no, this part is not detachable, it's actually part of the headset. And the way they squished it is by having some kind of Velcro to kind of hold it into place like so. Oh yeah, and this thing is actually removable, which it was inside the box. Now, what do you get in the box other than the strap? Well, you get this manual, as well as a decent Type-C cable. So the actual mounting mechanism on this thing is very different than the usual that we see. Instead of sliding from the back or clipping on, it actually slides in from the front. So you kind of slap it on like that. And yes, it does raise some concerns on how good it is. And from the looks of it, it's not really going anywhere. And even if you don't wear it and kind of push it out, it's still not going to slip. And even if it does slip, you still have the center strap to kind of keep things together. Overall, it's a pretty decent mounting mechanism, and I kind of appreciate it because my headset is going to break anytime soon from constantly taking on and off straps to actually do reviews on. So yeah, now you know why this thing is kind of crooked. You don't really feel it once you have it on, but you could probably use a hairdryer to kind of bend it back into place. Yeah, it's not that big of an issue, but that's just how it is. So once again, it tells you 10,000 mAh with 6 to 8 hours of battery life. So in terms of looks from the side, it does look pretty decent. From the top, it kind of looks awkward and weird because this part of the strap is very loose, so it doesn't kind of hold a shape. And the center strap here kind of took some inspiration from the Kiwi straps, except this one is just foam, it's not memory foam. Other than that, and when it comes to comfort, it's actually a pretty decent headset. It's very comfortable. They claim to have 50-50 counterbalance, and I kind of agree. It does feel like a pretty balanced headset. It does have a pretty comfortable experience, and it's actually not that bad. However, claiming 10,000 mAh is something, and the actual capacity is something. What am I talking about? Well, I did actually go ahead and do some testing. So here are the battery results. Once again, this is the actual capacity. You test it by fully charging it and draining it and calculating how many mAh you actually pulled until it died. And although this thing did actually beat out the BeswinVR B2, the Abuka, and the official Elite strap, it did not beat out the Kiwi strap, which is the only one that is actually much higher than 5,000 mAh. The B2, I believe, is like 5,200, and the rest is around 5,000. But the Kiwi design is actually 6,400 mAh. So you're probably asking, what's going on? Well, I'm not saying nothing, but there's something. And for that, we're going to be doing the usual, which is of course taking apart this thing. So let's go ahead and do that like we do in every other video. But before we do that, here's one last look. So we do have a silver braided cable. It's your typical, generic cable. It's not that bad, it's braided. Over here we have the Type-C for the internal charging. We have the battery status indicator as well as the check button. Now the LEDs here are actually kind of disappointing since it's really hard to tell what percentage you're at. I don't think these LEDs have a shutter. It feels like the light is spilling between each LED, but other than that, there's not a whole lot going on, and there's actually no screws to be found. Not even under this thing. And that is actually because this thing is not only clipped in, but also glued in, which does raise some concerns. In terms of repairability, possibly hiding something, which I hope not. So let's go ahead and find out what kind of battery we have here and what's the actual capacity. Alright, there we go. That's what that looks like, just as a mechanic. And yes, there is definitely what seems like to be super glue. And to be honest, what this looks like is just a very cheap power bank that you buy from Walmart and you kind of slap it onto your headset. Thankfully, the batteries here are actually detachable and I ripped out the actual cage. But let me just go ahead and confirm something. All right, so I'm actually wrong. These are 21700s. And this is what an 18650 battery looks like that I pulled out from my flashlight. And as you can see, it is much bigger. Now, typically, the 18650 batteries can go from 2,000 to 2,600 mAh, and what I have here is actually measured to 2,000 mAh. This was pulled from a dead laptop battery. However, the 21700s can go from 4,000 to 6,000 mAh, thus giving us a possible 10,000 mAh rating. Now, here's the thing. Most companies, when they actually advertise the battery bank capacity, they actually give you the internal battery. So when they say 6,400 or 10,000, it's about what's inside the cells, and not what you actually get after converting the power to 5 volts using a circuit. And here's the thing, depending on what kind of circuit you have will varying battery results. Because once you pass the energy through this thing and convert it to 5 volts, you'll be losing a lot of energy if your circuit is cheap like this one. It doesn't seem like the actual battery has any safety mechanisms other than the safety shutoff. It doesn't have any temperature sensors on the actual batteries. And that's kind of scary because having a big giant battery in your head that can possibly combust into flames like you're in ProMare, not a good idea. So we can actually go ahead and do a full drain capacity test using this unit and see what we get for the actual results. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and set this up overnight and we'll be back in just a bit. And we're back about 2 days later. So the test actually took about 20 hours to complete and we have the results. So one of them got 3,989 of real milliamp hours and the other one got 4,051, which gives us a real combined milliamp hours of 8,040. Not exactly 10,000. What could have happened is that the company that was selling these cells could have advertised it as 5,000 milliamp hours. Probably not the fault of Beswin, but who knows. Either way, the actual capacity of these cells is 8,040, and after running through the circuit here and passing on to your headset, we get an end result of 4,205. So not exactly sure what's going on here. It could be the fact that it's just a cheap circuit, but again, I'm no engineer or electrician. But that to me seems like a very inefficient system. Because again, the Kiwi that we reviewed with 6,400 milliamp hours got us just about 5,000 milliamp hours. So yeah, that's that. So the conclusion, is this thing worth $65 US? Well, if it isn't clear already, it is a definite no. And for several reasons. First off, the claim of 10,000 milliamp hours doesn't hold up, as even when testing the actual cells, we get an average of 8,000, which when we go ahead and test out on this other end, we end up with a result that is pretty subpar considering the power that we have here. So it does feel like it is a very misleading claim. And the last thing when it comes to the battery cells and the cheap system that we have here is that these batteries have no temperature sensors to keep them from overheating, which is a very important safety feature that should exist on all modern devices. But unfortunately, we don't have that here. Strapping these batteries to your head and possibly having a fire is not a fun idea. We can give the distorted rubber piece a pass, that's not an issue. The attaching mechanism is very nice, I really do like it. And lastly, when it comes to repairability, this thing isn't very friendly, but it does hold up pretty well. And with that being said, that is all for this video. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.